In this podcast episode, Joe Rogan is joined by Bret Weinstein, a biologist and author, to discuss a range of pressing topics, including the recent U.S. seizure of a plane belonging to Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, the implications of election integrity and voter fraud, the controversies surrounding vaccines and public health, and the intersection of science and politics. They also explore philosophical concepts like the multiverse theory, the future of humanity, and the importance of open dialogue in addressing complex societal issues. The conversation begins with Rogan and Weinstein discussing a recent incident where the U.S. allegedly seized a plane belonging to Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. They explore the implications of such an action, considering it an act of war, and questioning the legality and morality of seizing a foreign leader's property. Weinstein expresses confusion over the U.S. government's justification for this seizure, especially since the plane was reportedly purchased through a shell company and smuggled out of the U.S. They ponder the broader implications of U.S. sanctions against Venezuela and the ethical considerations of intervening in another country's affairs. As the discussion progresses, they delve into the concept of the Cartesian crisis, a term Weinstein coined to describe the current state of uncertainty in public discourse. They argue that people are increasingly aware that they are not receiving the full story from the media, leading to a sense of cynicism and distrust. This skepticism, they argue, is beneficial to those in power, as it keeps the public disoriented and disengaged. They emphasize the importance of understanding the truth behind narratives, especially in the context of elections and political discourse. The conversation shifts to the topic of election integrity, with Weinstein noting that while many people believe in the legitimacy of elections, there is an acknowledgement that voter fraud exists to some degree. They discuss the implications of this belief, particularly in light of the 2020 elections, and how the narrative surrounding voter fraud is often dismissed or aggressively countered by those in power. They express concern over the normalization of mail-in voting and the potential for fraud in a system that lacks transparency. Rogan and Weinstein critique the media's role in shaping public perception, particularly regarding political figures like Donald Trump. They argue that the media has created a narrative that positions Trump as an existential threat, which in turn justifies extreme measures to counter him. They discuss how this narrative has evolved and how it affects the Democratic Party's strategies, particularly in relation to issues like abortion and foreign policy. The discussion takes a philosophical turn as they explore the concept of the multiverse and its implications for understanding reality. Weinstein expresses skepticism about the multiverse theory, arguing that it complicates rather than clarifies our understanding of existence. He emphasizes the importance of recognizing the difference between complex systems, like biological organisms, and complicated systems, like machines. Rogan and Weinstein then pivot to the topic of extraterrestrial life and UFO sightings. They discuss the increasing normalization of UFO discussions in mainstream media and the implications of potential alien encounters. Weinstein expresses skepticism about the existence of extraterrestrial craft, suggesting that many sightings could be explained by advanced technology or psychological phenomena. They explore the idea that if aliens do exist, they might be observing humanity without direct interference, and they consider the societal impact of such revelations. Weinstein critiques the current state of medicine, arguing that the pharmaceutical industry prioritizes profit over patient well-being. He highlights the dangers of treating complex health issues with simplistic solutions, such as medications that may not address underlying problems. They discuss the role of the FDA and the revolving door between regulatory agencies and pharmaceutical companies, suggesting that this relationship undermines public trust and safety. The conversation shifts to the COVID-19 vaccines, with Weinstein discussing the adverse effects reported by vaccinated individuals. He argues that the narrative surrounding vaccine safety has been manipulated, leading to a lack of accountability for pharmaceutical companies. They explore the implications of vaccine injuries and the societal tendency to dismiss or downplay these experiences, particularly among those who have been vaccinated multiple times. Weinstein discusses the historical context surrounding vaccine liability, particularly focusing on the legal immunity granted to vaccine manufacturers. This immunity was established during the Reagan administration when vaccine producers expressed concerns about the safety of vaccines, claiming it was impossible to make them completely safe. As a result, the government created a system that shielded these companies from legal responsibility for vaccine-related injuries. This decision has led to a significant increase in the childhood vaccine schedule, which many now view as excessive. Weinstein emphasizes that this situation has fostered a troubling environment where profit motives may overshadow public health concerns, leading to skepticism about the intentions behind vaccine promotion. Weinstein reflects on the public's perception of vaccines as one of the greatest medical advancements, while also acknowledging the complexities and controversies surrounding their development and deployment. He notes that while vaccines have historically saved millions of lives, the introduction of new technologies, such as mRNA vaccines, has raised questions about safety and efficacy. Weinstein shares that he initially supported the use of mRNA vaccines, but has since grown wary of them due to the potential for adverse effects. He discusses the immune response triggered by mRNA vaccines, particularly the production of IgG4 antibodies, which may dampen the immune system's ability to respond to future infections. This raises concerns about the long-term health implications for those who have received multiple doses of these vaccines, especially in light of emerging diseases. Weinstein raises alarms about the potential for future vaccine rollouts, particularly with the introduction of self-replicating mRNA vaccines. He warns that this new technology could pose even greater risks to public health and calls for a more cautious approach to vaccination, especially for vulnerable populations like infants and pregnant women. He advocates for a return to a more balanced discussion about vaccines, one that considers both their benefits and potential harms. Weinstein argues that many modern diseases, including allergies and autoimmune disorders, may be linked to environmental factors rather than solely genetic predispositions. He points out that the prevalence of certain conditions has increased dramatically in recent generations, suggesting that there may be novel environmental causes at play. He emphasizes the importance of investigating these factors to improve public health and reduce the burden of disease. Weinstein discusses the importance of unity among various political factions, particularly in the context of the upcoming elections. He emphasizes that the current political climate is marked by division and hostility, which undermines the foundational principles of democracy. He advocates for a movement that transcends traditional party lines, focusing on shared values and goals to restore the republic and protect civil liberties. As the conversation progresses, Weinstein expresses concern about the future of the republic, warning that the erosion of civil liberties and the rise of authoritarianism pose significant threats. He believes that the upcoming elections will be crucial in determining the direction of the country and urges citizens to engage actively in the political process. He emphasizes the need for a strong showing of support for democratic principles to counteract the forces that seek to undermine them. The conversation then shifts to the topic of evolution and the criticisms surrounding Darwinism. Weinstein acknowledges that while Darwin's theory has been foundational in biology, it may not fully explain the complexity of life. He suggests that there may be additional layers of information storage in DNA that contribute to adaptation and evolution, which have yet to be fully understood. He engages with the ideas of intelligent design, arguing that while he respects differing viewpoints, he believes that a more nuanced understanding of evolution is necessary. Weinstein concludes by emphasizing the importance of scientific integrity and the need for researchers to remain open to new ideas and evidence. He argues that the scientific community must be willing to question established theories and explore alternative explanations to advance knowledge and understanding. This commitment to inquiry and critical thinking is essential for addressing the complex challenges facing society today.